Okay, welcome to the Weber County Commission meeting. Today is Tuesday, November 25th, 2025, and I'm Commissioner Sharon Bolos. I'm joined by Commissioner Gage Frohr and Commissioner Jim Harvey. We'd like to invite those in the audience to join us for the Pledge of Allegiance, and after that, Commissioner Frohr will offer an invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father in heaven, we come together this evening on this beautiful fall day as the citizens of this great country and of Weber County, state of Utah. We give thanks for this time of year for the celebrations we enjoy, the time we get to spend with our families and friends, and the memories that will come about from those celebrations. Father, we ask you for thy blessings to ensure that those that are in ill health at this time of year may be given blessings to bring them back to full health so they can enjoy this time of year along with their friends and families. And please bless those in the communities that suffer from ill health, again, that they may be blessed to come back to full health and enjoy the benefits of this time. Please bless our first responders and our public safety people, that they can do their duties this time of year without harm and return to their families in safe health. Finally, Father, we ask for your guidance so that decisions made at this meeting tonight will be in the best interest of the citizens that we serve, and that we will all respect each other in these difficult times. We say this prayer in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Commissioner Frohr. Okay, and item D, Commissioner comments. We have about 25 minutes.
Wow.
Anything you'd like to share? Commissioner Frohr.
I've got about 23 minutes. So I would just want to look at what we've done the last couple of days with contributions to the food banks. And that kind of started out as an idea that, because of the SNAP benefits, that maybe we could do something as a county. And after meeting with the group yesterday, the Catholic Community Connections, and then the Tri-City this afternoon, I just felt that it was very worthwhile. And what really impressed me is that both organizations said that they could either double that. This afternoon we heard from Mike Larson that he could actually get 7 times that. So if they can leverage that type of the 50,000 that we were able to come up with, I forget the number of people he said that would help, but it was a significant number. So I think we could feel good about
20. It depends on the week, but 2,600 to 2,800 families a week.
Yeah. So I just think we can feel good about that. I mean, we gave out a lot of ARPA funds, almost 50 million. Some of it we probably, could have done a little better job of making sure that it served the public need. But in this case, I don't think there's any question that we helped those that needed to be helped. So I feel good about that.
Compliment Commissioner Frohr and his idea to come up with that, and just good for you. It was very good.
It was both great organizations. I'm glad we could help them, so I appreciate that idea.
I thought it was great. Good time of year to do this too.
It is, and I would just add in my comments that, most of us in this room, and probably most who watch this meeting afterward, are really fortunate in what we have, and it's a time of year when we kind of reflect on those who don't have as much, and so I think it's good, not just what we've done with some of our funds, but any way that we can help the community at this time, because it makes it a little more difficult when other people are celebrating the holidays. So
it does. I just think it's good anytime government can step up and actually show that, hey, we understand what other people are going through, even though we don't have to. We understand that, and we're here to reach out for a helping hand.
good thing. Okay. Thanks, Commissioners. Item E, agenda-related public comments. Comments will be taken for items listed on the agenda, and we ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes. If you're here for the public hearing on the budget items, we'd ask you to wait until that point in time. Anyone? Seeing none? We'll go to item F, consent items. Number 1, request for approval of purchase orders in the amount of $180,235.52. Number 2, request for approval of warrants numbers 106485 through 106554 and 494025 through 494130 in the amount of $4,505,378.56. For a summary of warrants and purchase orders, Ricky Hatch, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We issued 15 purchase orders this week for $180,000. A quarter of that amount, $47,000, is for property management to purchase cameras and door access upgrades for the truck shop. 17%, or $31,000, is for the sheriff's office to purchase rescue equipment and computer hardware. We had 2 items at 14%, or $26,000, one for the jail to buy radio equipment and computer hardware, and one for the conference center for an air wash station. 9%, or $16,000, is for the ice sheet to purchase rental skates. 7%, or $13,000, is for the library, and that is for building maintenance as well as some computer supplies. 6%, or $11,000, is for the transfer station to buy fuel and perform groundwater testing services. As far as warrants, we issued 176 checks this week for $4.5 million. Half of that amount, $2.2 million, is for road construction on 2700 West in West Haven and 4100 North. That is paid for by the WACOG funds. 12%, or $545,000, was for the jail to pay for medical services as well as some food and utilities. 8%, or $347,000, is for paramedic services. 7%, or $309,000, is for Parks and Rec, and that was for building improvements. And 5%, or $230,000, was the monthly contribution to the Weber Human Services Organization. Our top 5 payees this week: the City of West Haven received $1.6 million. Asphalt Construction and Excavating Company, $645,000. Vital Core Health Strategies, $478,000. Weber Human Services, $231,000. And Town and Country Flooring, $220,000.
Any questions?
None for me, thank you.
None, Madam
I
Chair.
had one question Ricky was able to answer before, so thank you. Okay. Item 4, request for approval of the minutes for the November 18th, 2025 meeting. Number 5, request for approval of new business licenses. Number 6, request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and Legal Shield to provide voluntary legal and identity theft services to employees. Number 7, request for approval of an amended subrecipient agreement by and between Weber County and the Little Mountain Service Area. Number 8, request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and Vegas Productions, Inc. to hold the Jordan World Circus at the Golden Spike Event Center. Number 9, request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and Elite Productions to hold the RMPRA Winter Series Rodeo at the Golden Spike Event Center. Number 10, request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and Rocky Mountain Barrel Racing to hold the Spring Arena Brawl at the Golden Spike Event Center. Number 11, request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and American Chariot Racing Association to hold the ACR regular season at the Golden Spike Event Center. Number 12, request for approval of ratification of a real estate purchase contract by and between Weber County and CJA Lindquist, Inc. for property located at 496 24th Street. Number 13, request for approval of ratification of a real estate purchase contract by and between Weber County and Heritage Storage LLC for property located at 470 24th Street. Those are all the items, Commissioners. If there are no comments, I would entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I'll move that we approve those consent items on F1 through and including 13 as presented.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We're on item G, and because it's not 6 o'clock, I would entertain a motion to saunter for 17 minutes.
Motion to saunter.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're sauntering.
I looked at
motion to cease to saunter.
Motion to cease to saunter?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, we're now back in our public meeting. For item G, public hearings, number 1, request for a motion to adjourn the public meeting and convene a public hearing.
So move.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we're now in a public hearing. For item 2, public hearing to take input on the operating and capital budgets of Weber County for the 2026 calendar year. Miss Stephanie Ebert.
Good evening.
Good
I'd like to
evening.
thank everybody for coming. Tonight, we're holding a public hearing to discuss the 2026 operating and capital budget for Weber County. Our budget process started in August, and our tentative budget was presented on October 28th. It has been available on our website since that time. The Weber County Commissioners are not seeking any tax increases for 2026.
Madam Chair, I think we ought to note that we're one of the few counties up in this part of that does do, that's not doing that. Very, very few. I don't want to point out, well, maybe I do, but I don't.
Can you help me get, oh, there we go.
We
Okay.
don't have our monitors on up here,
Nope.
which is okay if we could see those. Sorry, I should have let you know that earlier.
Had a red dot, now it's going blue.
Mine's
So-
blue, HDMI, no signal.
You've got a blue screen, I got a black screen.
Mine says ASUS.
Oh, it went red
There we
again.
go. Something's coming on.
No, shut off.
Yeah, no signal, so it shut off. Auto close.
Oh, we had 17 minutes. I think we should have.
We should have taken that 17 minutes to get our monitors working. Are those ones working?
They were, now they're not.
We've got one. Turn yours on.
There we go.
Yep, okay.
Okay, we're cooking
We
with
are
gas
ready
here.
now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there a different, do I need to do some of this is like the presentation mode here? Showing both on both screens? I presented you maybe?
There we go. There we
Okay,
go.
Thank you, Shelley. Okay, when we talk about a county budget, there are a lot of different parts that make up the budget. And for the revenue side, we have really 3 main categories in which we receive funds. We have taxes, charges for services, and grants. Most of the funds we receive have legal restrictions on how we can use the funds we received based on the purpose they were collected for. And I'd like to start off by discussing taxes. So Weber County receives about 2/3 of its revenue from taxes, namely property taxes and sales taxes. This is an actual tax notice that was sent out this year on an average price home in Weber County. Our tax notice also has a pie chart that illustrates the percentage of taxes that are collected in behalf of all of the different taxing entities in Weber County. And although Weber County Treasurer sends out a property tax notice each year, the taxpayer pays the Weber County Treasurer for the property tax, but Weber County really only keeps about 16 to 18% of the taxes collected. So for this homeowner, only $600 of the $3,700 bill actually goes to Weber County. The remaining is sent to the school district, the taxpayer's city, or other service district for services such as water, sewer, fire, mosquito abatement, cemeteries, parks, and 911. This slide describes all of the different taxing entities that Weber County collects property taxes for. There are about 85 different entities altogether that Weber County collects taxes for. And one taxpayer definitely does not pay 85 different entities. However, the specific taxpayer entities is based on where the property is and what cities, districts, or other entities service that area. And although the Weber County Treasurer collects over $400,000 in property taxes for Weber County entities, the Weber County Commission only has authority to budget the spending for 10 entities, or about 16% of the total funds that are submitted.
Correction, that's 400 million.
400 million.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, once the property taxes, sales taxes, and other revenues are received, we allocate these funds to about 21 separate financial reporting funds in Weber County, and those are listed here. Of these funds, the general fund is probably the one that's most familiar to the taxpayers. Our total general fund revenues for 2026 total nearly $105 million, with just over $40 million of that coming from property taxes. The general fund pays for services such as public safety, our attorneys, and other general government services. Public safety is the largest piece of that general fund, and that includes our jail and our sheriff's enforcement division. County government is a service organization, and as such, payroll and personnel-related benefits is our biggest single expense, with 69% of our general fund being used for employee compensation. And we'll talk a little bit more about employee compensation a little bit later on. Our Culture, Parks, and Rec department is another fund that most people are familiar with, and unlike the general fund, however, these organizations that you see listed here are not funded with property tax. Service fees and tourism taxes are used to fund these departments. Tourism tax dollars comes from restaurants, hotels, and rental cars, and can only be used for the types of services that I have listed here. The county also receives a portion of sales tax to help fund transportation projects. Weber County acts as a pass-through for most of the funds collected, as these funds are directed to the Utah Transit Authority. The remaining collections pay for road projects throughout Weber County. All right, the next fund that I'll talk about is our Municipal Services Fund. And for those Weber County residents that do not live in an incorporated city in Weber County, taxes and fees are collected from only those residents that live there, just as if a resident that lives within a city pays property tax for that that goes to that city. With the incorporation of Ogden Valley City in 2026, we are still working on how our municipal services budgets will look, depending on whether or not Ogden Valley City will be contracting with Weber County for any of these services. And for our fund balance forecasting, our general fund is currently very healthy, with our fund balance above our policy recommended balance, and we anticipate this will continue for the next several years. The next fund we'll look at is our library fund, and you'll see a bit of a peak this year for 2025, and that is due to a transfer of capital funding that was being held in our capital projects fund, and that was actually transferred to our library fund as a restricted amount in 2025. We do see a forecasted steady reduction in our fund balance over the next several years, but our library director and her staff do an amazing job at tracking and being good stewards of the dollars that are budgeted for the library. And right now, we have no concerns for their fund. For our health department, we've seen some healthy revenues over the past few years, many of which have been related to COVID and COVID-related grants. These grants have now been ending, and our health department is watching their fund carefully, discontinuing certain programs and staffing as their grant funding starts to diminish. But we also have no immediate concerns with their fund balance. So I saved the worst for last. We have a little bit of an issue with our paramedic fund. Last year, our former comptroller presented that our paramedic fund was going to be in trouble. Due to call volume and response times, a paramedic unit was added in 2025 on the north end of the county at an additional cost of about $620,000 per year. Additional increases with our current units, the new unit, and our heavy rescue program contract over the past several years has resulted in a $1.2 million shortfall expected for 2026. And because we have had a healthy fund balance, we don't want to raise taxes before we need to, and we will use our fund balance savings for 2026, but we will need to review the impact for 2027. So for our capital projects in 2026, we anticipate some repairs and upgrades to our existing county facilities with a remodel of our Weber Center, some necessary work on our parking, and some projects at our culture parks and recreational facilities. We also anticipate to continue working on the expansion plans for our medical and mental health facility at our jail. As far as staffing, we did add, eliminate, and reduce some of our department positions throughout 2025, but as part of the budget request for 2026, we look to add 2 new part-time staff in our county attorney's office and an outreach coordinator at our animal shelter. We eliminated 2 planner positions, an office manager at our conference center, a captain position at our jail, and 16 other grant-related funded positions in our health department. I mentioned earlier in this presentation that our personnel costs are our biggest expense. In 2025, Weber County utilized a third-party company named Baker Tilly for a compensation study for our employees. Overall, most of our employees were close to or within market. However, many of our sworn public safety staff were not within market in comparison with several peer agencies within the state and outside of the state. For 2026, our pay scales are being updated, and employees will receive an adjustment related to the market study. Our sheriff's deputies received an increase in August of this year to bring them at least to the minimum pay range, and for 2026, we look to adopt a new pay plan for the sheriff's office that is separate from the rest of the county employees. Employees will also be eligible for a performance-based increase budgeted at 1.5%. So most employees will see a total increase of about 3.5%. In addition, our health insurance costs increased by 6.9%, and our dental insurance costs increased by 30%. Part of these increases will be picked up by the county, and part will be paid by the employees. So the next slide that I have is actually related to compensation, but it is our second item on our agenda for our public hearing. So I think I'll wait for that. For as far as our budget goes, the next steps are our final steps in our budget process for 2026. We'll receive any public comment today and over the next week or two, and then we will anticipate passing our final budget on December 16th at our regular commission meeting. So if you have any specific questions, I can try and answer those related to the budget.
Okay, commissioners, if you don't mind, I'd like to go to the public first, and then we can
Sure.
have any
Yep.
clarifications from us. So if there's anyone in the public for this first public hearing, which is regarding the operating and capital budgets for the 2026 year, I would invite you to come forward at this time. Okay. Seeing none, commissioners, any comments or questions for Ms. Ebert?
Just a great presentation, Steph. I thought, you know, you explained everything. We should have done that last night.
Commissioner Harvey?
Madam Chair, yes, I want to, first off, please, if there's any, after our meeting tonight, this is a hearing, but if there's anyone that has any concerns whatsoever, just reiterate, you can contact one or all, any of the three of us for any questions. In the next 2 weeks, we want to make sure that you have time to respond between the notice and now. This, especially from the first one, we've had several weeks to now we've got a couple more weeks just in case. Please get a hold of us if there's any concerns whatsoever with any of it. If you've got any questions on that. The second thing is I want to compliment our staff. While many of the surrounding counties have a 20 to 30% increase to their county budgets or on their truth and taxation hearings, point out again that we've been able to, because of our staff, make some great changes and cuts, is what they are basically, so that we can absorb this pay situation into our current budget. That's exactly what it is. That's what the people expect us to do. That's what this team has done, and I'm grateful for them. Probably the last thing, I want to speak directly to the first responders, the deputies especially. We appreciate those who, you know, last year we gave, just a little earlier than this, we promised and delivered a $10,000 retaining bonus paid in 2,500 increments, and that was done. And then we brought them up in August, as was mentioned here, and because of that study, we will follow that study. Baker Tilly does this nationally. I'm confident in the 18 plus different areas that they studied this to make sure that Weber County residents aren't overpaying, and the study shows that we're adequate, that we're being fair with that compensation. And I appreciate some of the other little extras that the sheriff and his management team have done. I also want to appreciate a shout out to the sheriff. He's been very supportive of the three of us in this study. He's been very complimentary of us, very supportive to us, and I appreciate that support. And I think you talked about that to the mayors. And so those are my comments, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll just add a couple of things. One is on the additional positions that Stephanie put up a slide about. There was one in their animal shelter additional position, and that's its own fund, so that doesn't impact the general fund. The animal shelter fund funds itself, and it receives money from the cities we serve, including the unincorporated areas of the county. So that new position will be paid for by those contracts. She did mention that Weber County Sheriff's Office has a separate pay plan from the rest of the county, which the commissioners felt was very important. It allows us to adjust that independently if we need to in the future. Right now, the market is very competitive in public safety, and we know that we may need the ability in the future to adjust that independently of the other departments and offices in the county. So I will also mention, Stephanie talked about the $2.1 million that was implemented at the sheriff's office to bring everyone up to at least minimum. That was done in August. The commissioners felt that we had the money in our budget to do that mid-year. It was important because even though the $10,000 retention pay was intended for the whole year, we wanted to send a message that we were making adjustments. And then the additional amount requested by the sheriff actually during our budget hearings was $700,000 that they felt would make everyone whole. But our HR director felt strongly that we should make different adjustments than were proposed, and that actually cost us more than double the request. But I want to support our HR director. She feels strongly about where those deputies should be, and even though it cost us more, I think it's important. I will add as well that the sheriff is participating in that with, you saw that one captain position was being cut. It's a position that hasn't been filled for almost a year in the jail. And they found other money to meet half of their original request, so $350,000, which we really appreciate. It shows that we're all searching for the money that it needs to actually make $5 million worth of compensation adjustments without a tax increase. And I've explained to a couple different groups, so I'll explain this for the public who may be watching afterward. Instead of a tax increase, the commissioners have decided to prioritize our employees over what we've historically done is transfer funds into our capital projects fund at the end of every year, and we are willing to reduce that amount and focus on our employees. So it will mean that there's more of a delay on some of those projects, but we feel that our priority is where it needs to be. So those are the notes I have. We will move then to our public hearing number 3, public hearing to take input on compensation increases of executive county officers included in the 2026 operating and capital budgets. This is fairly new statute. It's required to review these separately and have a separate public hearing. So, Ms. Ebert, if you wouldn't mind, we'll review these and then we'll open this up to the public.
Sure. I actually may have the wrong reference on that sheet. I prepared it, and then a couple weeks ago, the state recodified Title 17. And so I think that we have the correct reference in our public hearing, but I may need to change it on those sheets that I gave you. Essentially,
There we go.
we have a requirement in statute to have a public hearing on any increases for our executive county officers. That includes elected officials, department heads, chief deputies, assistant directors, and so forth. And so those increases to those individual salaries have been included, and that they are on the handout that I handed to you. The elected officials are, it's proposed to have a 3% increase in the 2026 budget, and the increases for all other executive officers in the county that I mentioned will just follow the same proposal as for the rest of the county employees, with a market adjustment based on our compensation study, and then about a 1.5% increase for performance.
So is that total for those officers 3.5?
Correct.
Minimum,
Yeah,
less
there
than
were a
other
few that were actually below the market in our compensation study, and those will exceed 3.5%, but the remaining would have a 3.5% increase.
Thank you. Did you review the health department director's compensation?
I have not seen that.
Oh,
So,
sorry, on your slide, I don't.
oh, no, I did not.
I think
Sorry.
because I interrupted you with the
No,
question,
no, you're
sorry.
good. I did leave that off. So the health department director's compensation is set by
Yep.
the health department board.
point.
And so they do that separately in the health department board meeting.
And is that the only director in the county?
Correct.
Okay.
All the others are governed by the decisions of the commissioners.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you for bringing that up.
Okay, we'll now open this up for public comment. If there's anyone here to speak to this issue, you're welcome to come forward, and we ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes. Please state your name and
John
the city where
Arrington,
you
I live in North Ogden City. I was looking at this study, and it looks to me like the first 2 columns are just standard, the annual auto allowance, that's not changing. The only thing that's changing in their compensation are the next 2.
The market adjustment
Is
and the
that
performance.
correct? In other words, the auto allowances is what it is now. That's not, changing, and there's current salary and auto allowance are both current, right?
Correct.
And then the market adjustments, man, how have you kept an ice sheet director if they've been that far out of?
Been lucky?
Wow. And then from all that discussion that's going on in the state, I understand the increases you're making in the law enforcement area. That's kind of a given, but yeah, I just wanted to make sure I was understanding this correctly, because that's going to be a big benefit to 2 or 3 people, but obviously it's necessary. So anyway, I just wanted that clarified. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Seeing none, then Commissioners, do you have comments regarding this? Commissioner Furr?
Just briefly, you know, last night at the Truth and Taxation for 911, we heard a couple of people speak out about that our public officials and public employees are overpaid based upon what we see happening in the private sector. And, you know, I stand by, again, I think the wisdom of you, Chair Bolos, and our HR director to go through the Baker-Tilly study to show really what this is about. As any business, we're in a competitive business, and if we don't pay market, we're going to lose those people. I think history for 2025 would show that we were losing good people, not just in public safety, but in my portfolio, we had a number of people from property management, other fields that were being enticed away to the private sector, but also the public sector. So I know that the public looks at the salaries that we pay and sometimes questions the amount that they are, but I think that we've justified that through the Baker-Tilly, and I think we've justified that from what we've seen this happening this last year with the people that we've actually lost. And then as we've gone out to the marketplace, found out that we couldn't even hire them back for the same price, the same wage that we were paying before. So I just think that that this is a good effort in justifying the salaries that the government pays, that Weber County pays, and it results in better service and great service that we now receive from our employees of Weber County, which, in my opinion, are the best out of the 29 counties in this great state. So that's my comment, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Harvey?
I'm confident of that last statement with regards to the 29 counties. We have a very, if you look at our Dun & Bradstreet, any of the rating companies in the United States, we all have fantastic ratings, don't we, Ricky? You bank on that all the time, and they rate us in the top 2% of all counties in the United States, and we're very fortunate to have a great team that gets us there. So all we are is up here making decisions based on the team, but what a wonderful team we've got. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Can I make one additional comment? So the 3% was what we decided on for compensation increases, was it not?
Yes.
And I would just say that my experience with some other public agency that I actually sit on the board ranged anywhere from 3.5% to 4.5%. So I think Weber County, we looked at that and we were on the very conservative side of what a lot of other public entities have done, up to 4.5%. And I think we followed. I know that Social Security was 2.8, if I'm not mistaken. So if we can be close to 2.8, which we were at 3%, I think we can be happy with that result.
And that 3% is just for elected officials, correct? And the others are 3.5.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, the 3% for elected and all of the other department
Right.
directors is
Yeah, and
3.
I think it's
Yeah.
important sometimes the elected officials take a little more heat from the public, and as we should, than others, and that's why I think we err on the side of being conservative for public officials. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the only other thing I would mention is you talked about some of the numbers that were brought up last night, and
Yeah.
there are several websites that have information about public employee compensation. There's one official site where we submit ours, and that's transparent.utah.gov.
Correct.
And there are, it was mentioned last night that if you Google this or you
Yeah.
look, and there, I know the public has several different websites they look at, and so.
And
looking
several
at the-
different numbers.
And several different numbers, so.
Transparent.utah.gov. That's
Is
the
where-
one. That's
is
where you
where-
look right online.
Entities officially submit those numbers,
Yeah.
so.
Google doesn't always pull its information from transparent.utah.gov.
We don't know where Google gets it. Okay, commissioners, we've had the public hearing on both of these and received public comments, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn the public hearing and reconvene the public meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we're now back in our public meeting, where no action is required on the public hearing, but is there anything additional you'd like to add before we adjourn?
None for me.
None?
Okay, then we'll move to item H.
Motion to adjourn, Madam Chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, we're adjourned. Thank you.